Today is the second half of my interview with Richard Silver. In the first half of our interview, we talk about not only the success of his team, top 1% in Toronto, Canada, but how he has integrated the Asian buyer into that, particularly the Mandarin-speaking buyer. Today, we're going to talk more about the tools and systems he's implemented to ensure that long-term success. Thanks for listening to the Jere Metcalf Podcast, where top real estate agents tell how they do it. This podcast is to share knowledge for realtors and raise awareness for Give Back Homes, where real estate professionals work together for social good. Jet Centers Aviation, Bentley Atlanta, Legends Global, thank you for your sponsorship. All right, everybody, today, welcome to the Jere Metcalf Podcast, where our top real estate agents tell how they do it all. Today, we have Richard Silver in Toronto, Canada. He's a powerful real estate agent in Canada, got a huge, powerful team. He really works as a team, works with his agents as a team, which has inspired me and motivated me. And even more so, he is working in a big way internationally, especially with the Asian markets. We're going to talk about how he became successful and tap into some of the specifics of his success. All that said, Richard, please do introduce yourself and fill in the gaps where I left out on that.
Oh my God, there's so many gaps. How long
Exactly, which is great. Hours? Yeah, it makes it fun.
So I've been licensed for 37 years, which is much longer than you've been alive, of course.
We'll pretend that's true. Yeah, I like that.
And so I've always been on the top 1% of the Toronto Real Estate Board, which has 45,000 members. So we have a very large board here. At about 5 years ago, I was president of the Toronto Real Estate Board. So I did a lot of organized real estate for NAR and for CREA, the Canadian Real Estate Association, and the Toronto Real Estate Board. And I think about 10 years ago, I sort of looked around at what was happening in the city and realized that we were much more of a gateway city for international buyers. Canada, although some people consider us pretty boring, the reality is we have healthcare. We don't have a huge crime incidence in Canada. It's pretty settled, it's pretty quiet, and we have a lot of people who want to invest here. So we have about, within the Toronto area, which is probably a population in total of about 6 million, we have 100,000 immigrants per year. So not necessarily from just other countries, but other parts of Canada that may be going through a downturn. And so they move to Toronto. They come to Toronto for business because this area of Ontario is the engine of Canada, really. We do a lot of there's a lot of things that happen in we call it Southwestern Ontario.
You spend a lot of time doing this business development and doing a lot of traveling, whether it's buyers and a lot of buyers relocating. For example, we know one another from the travel that we do, and you're traveling to China, you're traveling, all over China and all of these other countries, and doing these presentations about Toronto. So how have you structured your business and your team to afford you the ability to do that? Or how does that work so that you're both really doing some powerful business development, but also have everything on the ground at home to deliver that service when you generate these clients?
Yeah, well, the business has changed a lot in that now we are a team, whereas I used to be a single agent, and maybe I had an assistant, and maybe I had another agent who would help me with extra buyers. But about 4 or 5 years ago, I decided to move towards a team, not a partnership, but a team. And I took the bold step of not naming it after me.
Right.
I wanted it to be known as Torontoism, because I wanted, when I decided to retire, or if I decide to retire, that it could continue on and could exist without me, or without me having, being involved in the day-to-day. I see a lot of people who develop teams, and it's all based on their own personality. And it's great when you're young, but I've been doing this for 37 years. I'll probably continue another 4 or 5 years, and then I'll sort of drift into, I'll just be doing the visiting of the other locations and talking about Toronto and just, sending them referrals.
Mm-hmm.
So what I've done is I've structured the team so that I no longer list anything on my own. I list it with a team member. I never work with a buyer on my own. I'm always working as a team with them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's somebody on my team who is sort of like a junior leader. He's working his way to take on the whole project when I decide to drift into the sunset. But then, we focused on creating diversity within our team and making sure that we represented a lot of different cultures. The reality is we not only have the different cultures. We have somebody we have probably 10 languages on our team. So we have somebody who speaks Mandarin, we have somebody who speaks Cantonese, we have Hindi, Punjabi, Urdu, English, French, Ukrainian, Portuguese, and we're like, Toronto.
10 languages. How many team members?
10. There's only 7 of us.
I was going to say, I didn't think you had 10. So you've got a few of your team members speaking several languages.
Yes. And also, we're probably, our goal is maybe to move to 10, but not 10 realtors. We'll probably stay at about 8 realtors, and the other 2 will be assistants, licensed assistants maybe, or assistants. But basically, we use, it's all about systems. So we use, our CRM is something called RealVolve.
Okay.
And I don't know if you know about it.
I've heard about it, but yeah.
It's a very, it's fairly new. It's a great system. We're learning more and more about it each day, and it's changing each day as well.
And what do you like about it? I've talked to so many agents. I interview agents a lot for the podcast. A lot of agents with big teams are using Google Docs. And I have actually, because of that, started using Google Docs because I can at least control it until I find something else.
Right.
What about RealVolve? Because I remember you had said in another conversation that RealVolve is a great CRM for teams. What is it that makes it great for teams? What is it that makes it a great CRM?
Basically, you have to spend some time setting it up. But what we have is workflows with RealVolve. So, when I go out to see a client or I get the phone call,
mm-hmm.
I enter them into the system, and on day 1, it sends them an introductory email. And then on day 2, it reminds me, do I want to follow up and double check the time that I'm going to see them at the house? And then it sends them an email that I'm coming, and here is information about the presentation, or here's the forms that you're going to have to sign in plain language. Or it basically just is a drip campaign of all the things they know about until they get to the next stage, which is, thank you for signing the listing, and we move into that stage. And then thank you for signing the offer, and here's what you need to know about from now while the sale is pending before closing.
Mm-hmm.
So it basically has workflows developed for every single part of the transaction.
That's great.
It notifies you as the agent or you as the responsible party for it, and it gives you a list when you get up every morning and says, okay, today you're going to do this, today you're going to do that. Know that this email went out to the clients. Do you want to follow up with it? Do you want to send them a card? All of those things, and it basically automates and puts systems into your day to day.
So now, what about? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say now. It's only going to be as good as we are at using it. And so we're still getting up. We're just finishing off our workflows. To me, it looks brilliant, but, there's a long distance between, the look of it and getting everybody on it.
The discipline as real estate agents, we like to do what's right in front of us right now, but the discipline of getting up and implementing those.
Exactly. But you know what? In my history, looking back on people who have come to the market, left the market, come to the market, left the market, there were some people who were absolutely wonderful, but they had no systems. They had no sort of, okay, this is what you do today, this is what you're going to do tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So, they would have a couple of good sales, and then they would disappear for 3 days. In the meantime, everything else fell to the side. So being consistent, as I said, is really important. And this will help the consistency.
It reminds me of the book, The Compound Effect, and I'm forgetting the author's name right now, but the compound effect of the little things. It's so, and I say this, I'm speaking from my personal faults, is it's so easy to just want to do what's going to pay off right now, and all those little things can wait because I'll just get to those later, and those things add up, and the compound effect of them, of the success as a result or the lack of it as a result of not. And I can speak because I'm, every day I'm working on that. I like to do this big stuff all the time, but it's those little things, which makes it sound like that's a great CRM I should look into. So
I think once you get it up and running, and I can certainly share with you some of our workflows, and once you get those, and you tailor them to your team. Okay. You tailor them so that automatically an email goes out. It has information. It's about your team, whatever, and it's how your team deals with stuff. And we sat down. We decided, okay, from the day we get the phone call, what is it that we do? And
you did it with your team. You came up with it together. That's smart.
We started on the workflows. Everybody had input. Now, as I said, the next step is to see how we use it. But the great thing about RealVolve is they have tons and tons of back-end information and help desk and videos, and they've done a wonderful job in educating the agents.
Okay. I'm going to take, because a lot of the CRMs I find aren't team friendly. It's everybody will have their own version, and you might even have a team, but you log in and we tried one, and I would take a client, and then I'll assign someone to help me with the client and then they can't see unless they log into mine and I log into theirs, and we don't want to share because we have different stuff. We just want to be able to see what's going on. It sounds like RealVolve, you get a big picture of the team activity and you can tap into your own activity as well.
Exactly. And you can also see what the funnel is. In other words, if we take all these listings and we sell all these listings today, whoa, that's
motivational. Like, look at all the potential. I remember I called it my pipeline. I started building my pipelines on, I'd assign a number to every lead, and this is the chance they'll close, and this is the amount that it will be, and this is the income as a result. And I can, I'd think, I'm not doing that great. And I'd look at the pipeline and be like, gosh, just like, all I've got to do is like pick up the phone and help people. And the next thing I know, it's going to be great. It's not that, it's just those small, little repetitive, consistent activities.
Yeah. I think that's the most amazing thing about real estate is, if you set your mind to doing all of those things, then it's really not a hard business. Mm-hmm. However, most agents don't do that. I think about 80% of the people I know do not do anything like that. And then you've always got that, 80-20 rule, that the 20% that do, even if they don't necessarily do it through a system like RealVolve, their minds work that way. Mm-hmm. It's the mind that says, okay, I get up in the morning, I know I have to do A, B, C, D, E, and I'm not going to, have a coffee or relax until I've got those things finished. I've got to get them through.
Well, I think you're right. I remember being new in the business, and I've been fortunate in being a successful real estate agent for 14 years now. And since day one, it doesn't feel like it when you're brand new, but in hindsight, I did well quickly. But I can remember having colleagues, once you get in the business, you're too busy to notice. But I remember having colleagues that were the same number of months in the business as me. And they were like, you're busy. I would call them up. Oh, I'm just hanging out. I don't have anything going on right now. And I was never not busy and everything. Like, how can you not be busy in this business? If you don't have any business, then you should be even busier getting it, especially if you're new. Like, there's never nothing. There's not a way to be a real estate agent and not be slammed. It's just not possible, because you're either doing deals or generating deals, or really, ideally, you're doing both all the time. Yeah. So, but it's back to your point.
And it's a matter of just being motivated and keeping that ball rolling, putting your head down, especially for a new agent. A lot of people say, well, how did you achieve success? I said, for the first 2 years, I just put my head down. I went and saw everything that I could. All of the open houses, all of the agents' open houses. I met as many people as I could. Mm-hmm. I sat open houses every weekend, and I just, I worked myself crazy, but just putting my head down and continuing to work. I didn't go in and out, and I tried not to be uneven in my workflow. I tried to be very even and very dedicated. Sadly, there's a cost to your private life, your personal life, and but
it creates that consistent habit of every day. It's almost like, the challenge for me is sometimes you can't cut it off. It gets a little hard to cut it off, but it sure does make for a consistent workflow, like you said.
Yeah. And then what you do is you make sure that, you have proper family time that you keep within that workflow.
Well, that's the key. That is part of your habit of what you do every day. Yeah. Exactly.
My partner and I have dinner, I think, 6 nights out of 7. We, unless I'm traveling or something, there's very seldom a time when I'll just go and say, I got to work. I'm not going to be able to meet you or whatever.
Exactly. It's funny you say that, because I'm big on every day. I work all day, but at night, everybody kind of knows that if there's something at night, there's a slim chance you're going to get Jere, because that's Jere's family time. Every night I go home to family.
And people, I think, once you establish that, they respect it.
It's true, because they know you're available. It's not that you're not available. It's not that it's sporadic. Yeah. So I want to no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm happy to go see a client maybe after dinner. Mm-hmm. And after I've had my family.
Well, I've done some 10 o'clock calls to work on some deals and all that good stuff too. Exactly. When the kids are in bed and dinner's done. So I want to run through some quick, just like, let's do make sure we don't miss any good, which I'm sure we've missed lots of good wisdom and tidbits from Richard Silver, but let's see what else we can get out of you. If you were starting all over and you had, let's say, $500, and you had to start all over in Toronto or any market, but you don't know anything about this market. Let's pick a mystery. We're going to drop you down in a mystery market. You've got $500 to start over. What are you going to do with your time in your $500 to ensure you're a successful agent?
You know what? I think the first thing I would do would be pretend I was a buyer or pretend I was the seller, and go on the internet and see what's working and see what's not working. See who comes up. See what's what their deal is. Try and just pretend that you don't know anyone. You've arrived here. What are you going to do? Mm-hmm. What are the steps that you need to take? As far as spending the money, I don't know. I buy a lot of coffee probably, but with my $500. But even that, you know what? I can't tell you. There's a coffee shop that I go to almost every morning. And I don't really want a coffee when I get there, but I buy a coffee. It's like I buy a $4 coffee and, them and everything. But I cannot tell you how much business I've made out of that coffee shop, just because people know I'm a realtor. They ask me a question, I respond. And probably one of the things I would do is also be a blogger. I have been a blogger. Mm-hmm. I've sort of turned every question that a client has asked me into a blog. But
you've got your rule of 3. That rule of, if it's asked 3 times, it's a question, and you write a blog on it.
Not even 3. I'll cut it back to 1.
Is it 1 now? Yeah, that's great.
Because people want information, and if you can be the person who provides the information, a wonderful, wonderful trainer by the name of Adorna Carroll. I don't know if you know Adorna. She's a hoot.
Adorna Carroll. Okay.
Yeah. Adorna Carroll. She does a lot of work with the National Association of Realtors. She teaches the ABR course. She doesn't take any, she will not take any prisoners. She just tells it like it is. But she says, in real estate, you want to be the source of the source, but not the source.
Okay, you've got to explain the source of the source, but not the source.
Not the source.
You're going to have to elaborate on that.
So a client can come to you and say, Richard, I'm getting a divorce. Help me. And you say, you know what? Here are 3 good divorce lawyers. Mm-hmm. They can give you that advice. Mm-hmm. So rather than you jumping in and say, oh, you know what? You got to do this. You got to do that. Because you're not a divorce lawyer.
You're not a divorce. I get it now. Yeah.
Be the source of, here's where you can find 3 great divorce lawyers, but leave your personal thoughts out of it. Don't get into it. Deal with what you do. You market properties. Mm-hmm. You're not a surveyor. You're not a building inspector, but you can provide them with the names of the best private bankers, the
That
best
will keep you out of a lot of trouble. Mm-hmm.
keeps them. I mean, realtors get into so much trouble, and I tell my team right away. I said, why in the world are you giving people advice about that? That's not your expertise. Give them the name of an expert in the field. So be the source of the source, but do not be the source. Yeah.
Unless it's real estate. Unless it's what's for sale or what's sold or a good CRM. You can be that source.
Yeah, you can be the source. Here's what's sold. Here's what I think your price should be. I mean, that's your expertise. But, somebody will, ask you questions. They'll want somebody on their side. Mm-hmm. So ask you questions that are totally inappropriate for you as a realtor.
Exactly. Well, and when you're the source of the source, you can also be that source's source.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is ideal. The divorce attorney's source is a great source to be, or the wealth advisor source is even better source to be.
Bankers, insurance, lawyers, fund managers. You want those connections with them, but you do not want to. I mean, how many times have you heard somebody say, well, I went to my lawyer and he said I'm paying too much for the house?
Oh, wow. Yes. You know what? I can't even name the number of times, and you're exactly right. Because sometimes we forget. Okay, so this wasn't a question I was even going to ask you, but how do you, because that's a commonly happens that you get clients whose parents or wealth advisors or attorneys or whoever are telling them they're making a bad real estate decision when you've advised them it's not. And as a real estate agent, you actually, I can certainly speak to myself and you that I do what's in the best interest of my client, not what's in the best interest of closing a deal. That doesn't pay off in the long run. Besides, it's not the right thing to do. But how do you address that? Because it does happen, especially when we don't know our clients as well. What do you say?
We used to, in the old days, we used to call those people Uncle Louis, because there was always somebody who.
Do you tell your clients that?
I can sort of talk about it.
Depends on who they are, right?
But I try not to argue or disagree with them. I'm just saying, I can understand their concern. However, it's you who's going to be living in the house. Mm-hmm. It's you who set the parameters, and we've looked at everything within those parameters. Now, are they the ones who are going to, if they say something and they're going to lose, and because of what you're doing, are they going to lose the house? That you're going to lose the house? Are they confident enough that they can help you out when you've lost that house? So yes, somebody says, well, don't take that offer. It's not high enough. And I go, great. A year from now, if you look back and say, we should have taken that offer, I don't think this is enough, or, you're not getting the high enough price. I always say to them and to the client, but also if I'm face-to-face with the bank manager, I'd say, are you confident enough that if we do not accept this offer today and a year from now we have to sell it for less, will you handle the difference between those two prices? Will you be responsible? So is this really just a flip answer, or is this an educated enough answer that you are prepared to stand up and say, I will be responsible for the shortfall?
Mm-hmm. That's a great way to position it.
Yeah, especially when the market has changed, and I'm sure you went through this back in 2008, and when the market's changed and you've seen people walk away from offers that you think they should have taken, oftentimes it's because somebody has advised them not to, but it's very easy to, words are cheap, as we say, and it's very easy to say that, but if a year from now they're in a worse situation, and they've acted on that person's information or that person's thoughts, are they enough to, will they respond, and will they be responsible for the shortfall? It's
kind of a way of also saying, like, be careful what you advise, because you're really going to make a heavy impact on this person's circumstances in life in general. Because real estate's not just what you get for dinner. It can have an impact on your entire life and livelihood.
Also, when a market starts to fall off, historically, and I've been there a few times too, but I've
38 years, yes.
Yeah, I've noticed that the first person to sell in that, is the one that does the best. Like if you wait and wait and wait for the market to get better because you're hopeful, by the time, it goes from, say there's a fall in the market of 20%, the person who sells and brings their price to a price it should be between the 0 and the 5% does a lot better than the person who waits until it gets to, down to 20% below where it was, thinking that time will heal this and it'll go right back up.
Well, so, and the time value of money and the cost, the cost opportunity. I mean, all that good stuff. They've lost opportunity and where it could have been, the cost it was to keep the house, where they could have put that money in the meantime. There's all those things. So
those are all very, very important things to be aware of. And, sadly, we are in a market. I mean, that's the reality. There are going to be great times and there are going to be times that are stressful.
That's what the market does.
Yeah, that's what keeps it really important, really interesting and important in people's lives.
So next question. I've got two more. What is you may have already given it to us, but just to be sure, what is your favorite real estate tool? RealVolve might be it, but that would be an example. App, CRM.
I like a lot of the social media, so I do a lot on Facebook and Twitter and a little bit on Instagram. I love where we've gone to. I mean, obviously the smartphone is probably my most, important hard tool.
Exactly. It's almost like we have to remove that one from the options because that's everybody's favorite is their phone, right? That's it. That's the tool.
You know what? I'll tell you, there's some wonderful apps out there that I think are great. I use, Toronto's a really crazy city with traffic. So I would be if I was without Waze, WAZE, I'd probably be in big trouble. Waze tells me where there's, traffic issues and because I can spend a lot of time getting around the city in a not very efficient way, whereas Waze makes me more efficient. There's, we have parking apps these days. We have
I haven't seen the parking apps. All right, so now you've got to give us one. If you had to pick one other than your phone, what's your favorite?
Well, I think it would probably be RealVolve. I think once that's up and running properly, it's the CRM. I think the CRM
I'm
is
excited to see that.
Yeah. And I think any CRM, if you use it, it'll be great. So whether it's Top Producer or Top Agent or whatever you want to call it, whatever CRM you use, it will be great if you use it. If you don't.
Exactly. That's the key. Use it. And one book that you've read that's made the biggest impact on your business.
I think The 60-Minute Salesperson was the biggest one. It's just, it's just a short book, but it's got a lot of things about, overperforming and giving people more than they have expected. And I think that says a lot. And also anything that looks at the long term. One of the people I follow all the time is Gary Vaynerchuk. I love listening to him.
Gary Vaynerchuk. Yeah.
He's fun. He puts everything together. Lots of 4-letter words, but it's okay.
Gets your attention.
It gets your attention.
Yeah, it keeps you listening.
I think he has, I've known him for years and seen him first time I saw him was maybe 10, 12 years ago when he was first starting out with his wine company and his wine videos. But he's done an amazing job and he's built a really great business. And he just basically tells it what it is. And he says, that a lot of agents who don't develop are because they've become very fat. They've found that they don't have to take on new projects. They don't want to change. They want to do things the way things have always been done. And I think if that's the attitude you take, then you're in that's a big problem. It really is. You have to. Our business is changing a lot. It's changing. There's always going to be something new. There's always going to be a bright, new, shiny object, which is something I love about real estate, but a lot of agents don't.
Exactly. Well, it's probably my favorite thing about it. It keeps us innovative and on our toes and keeps us a little smart.
The number of people who, I don't do DocuSign. What do you mean you don't do?
What do you mean you don't do DocuSign? That's like I don't do my cell phone, and then it's I don't do social media thing. I'm trying to. That one's kind of like saying I don't have a cell phone. I don't know what that is.
I never go on Facebook. That's the one I hear. I don't want people to know what I'm doing. Well, hello, this is the business we're in.
It's kind of like, what was the first rule you learned in real estate? Don't be a secret real estate agent. Well, staying off Facebook will help you accomplish that. So I don't know.
The one I love is I want to get into real estate because you don't have a boss.
Well, now you have like 50 or whatever number of clients you have. That's how many. Or the better one is I want a flexible schedule. Well, if you want to work all the time, become a real estate agent because that's what you'll do.
Yeah. Jere, what's a 40-hour week? You know?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. What is that? I know. No.
Are you cutting back to a 36-hour week? I'm going, no, I'm cutting back to a 70 or 80-hour week, I think, right now.
Exactly. I don't know when there's a time. People, are you working today? Well, and when am I not working? That's what I've tried to figure exactly. So anyway.
Well, you and I go on a lot of conferences and we meet people, and you come home and somebody says, well, how was your holiday?
Yeah. What do you say to that? Actually, I use Facebook and social media to make sure they know that wasn't a holiday and how much real estate we were getting done for them. So,
I just come back and I say, well, I presented to over 100 people. I, met, but the reality is they don't get it until they actually, sure, I was in Las Vegas for 4 days. Did I leave the hotel during the day? No.
Exactly.
Did I get out to the pool? Well, I took a quick swim and I was surrounded by 50 other realtors, and all we did was talk real estate and talk we worked in.
Exactly.
It's a whole lifestyle. It's not just a job.
That is exactly what it is. And if you can embrace it and embellish it, you will reap the rewards of it. But if you can't, you'll just be a miserable person until you get out of the business. Exactly.
And I'm not complaining because it has been a wonderful job. It's been a wonderful career. I love doing it. And, as long as I can, do it, I'll be the old realtor with a walker, and I'll just open the door for the client and say, okay, go up to the third floor. I can't go up there anymore.
That's awesome. Exactly. I love it. That's awesome. Well, you have a team. You've been smart. You've created a very talented team to do that for you.
They'll be able to push my wheelchairs.
You've got to get a team member for that. All right.
Somebody said to me, he said, I feel young again. I have no hair. I have no teeth, and I'm in diapers. I feel like a child.
Oh, no, that's just depressing. All right. Let's end on the high note there and give us what's your website and the best way to reach you so everybody knows where to go when they have clients in Toronto.
Oh, yeah, please. Torontoism.com. So Torontoism.com is our website. You can click, you can get on it. You can become, I'm a voracious newsletter provider. So I do newsletters. You have great
blogs and writing too. So it's a great just to sign up to see what you're up to. It's a good idea.
I try and give as much information as possible so that when people are looking for information or they're looking for somebody to help them, they're going to come to you. Exactly. And I think that's really important. Don't be afraid of telling people how you do things because there is a huge difference between telling people
and doing it. Exactly right.
I share everything.
That's awesome. I appreciate it. Because I'm gonna be you when I grow up, Richard. I'm gonna have the Toronto, the Atlanta, the Buckhead, Brookhaven version of Torontoism.
I want to be me when I grow up sometime.
I love it. All right. Well, thanks for being on the show. It's been wonderful having you.
Pleasure. Thanks again. And anytime, just give me a call.
Oh, I will.